Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and it's kind of turned into this cultural monstrosity of consumerism where it's known more for its Black Friday deals than for thankfulness. It's kind of morphed into a gluttonous feast instead of a family event where everyone shares their love and gratefulness for each other. And this isn't meant to be a cultural critique on Thanksgiving. Even still, gratitude should not be reserved just for the holiday season alone. The benefits of frequently practicing gratitude have been proven by science, but science also proves that the gratitude practices that you and I have been using all this time are actually less impactful than we might have hoped. But before we get into that, I want to invite you into our recent family obsession, which is the 10-day gratitude challenge. My name is Josiah, and my wife Cassie have used the 10 days leading up to Thanksgiving to practice gratitude with our boys. The challenge is simple. Each day we are asking our boys what they are thankful for. We write it on a piece of paper and we pray with them for whatever it is that they're grateful for. And we add it to the paper chain, hopefully getting them to flex their thankfulness muscles and placing Jesus at the center of all the things that they have to be grateful for. Before diving in, I'm curious, drop a comment below. What is your family's current obsession? Day one, it was a huge success.
I'm thankful for playing Spidey with Mark. I'm thankful for eating some suckers.
So not super profound things, but it was at least a start. Day two was, well, today was miserable with these kids. Oh, they just don't listen. They go crazy. They have opinions. But yesterday we wrote, family is what we're thankful for and what we're grateful for. And so that's what I'm gonna pray for. Something just wasn't clicking. If my boys understood what we were doing, they sure didn't show it. This led to me doing some research about gratefulness and listening to Andrew Huberman's podcast where he talks about the neurobiology of gratitude. And I would be lying if I said I understood everything, but this is what I gathered from the podcast. Gratitude activates the part in your brain called the prefrontal cortex. And I'm not smart enough to know what that actually means, but it means that they know how to track it. He then takes a wrecking ball to the whole idea of this prayer chain challenge. He said that the most common gratitude practices, like writing a list of the things that you're thankful for or thinking about and praying for those things, they didn't induce nearly as much brain activity as some of the other practices that he talks about. He talks about these different studies, and I gathered 3 simple things that kind of apply to this gratitude challenge here. First, gratitude needs to be practiced. Now, I don't know about you, but gratitude doesn't come naturally. We expect our children to naturally express gratefulness for the many ways that we sacrifice for them, but it just doesn't work out that way. Gratitude isn't always a naturally occurring resource in the human experience. Kids are more inclined to be fixated on what they don't have than on what they do have, let alone express a deeply significant gratefulness for those things. And we've been focusing on children, but let's take a look in the mirror. Every breath that we take is a gift that we take for granted. Heck, even our kids themselves are a gift that we often mistake as little curses on our well-being and happiness. It will take a conscious effort to rewire our brain for gratitude and not for grumbling. But practice is only part of developing gratitude. Next, gratitude needs to be visible. There was a strong response in someone's brain and heart and body when they watched a compelling story or heard an emotional story. Narratives about people going through hard times and persevering or being helped by other people was one way to engage the parts of the brain responsible for gratitude. Huberman suggests identifying a story that you resonate with on a deep level, memorizing the story the best that you can, and then write down a few bullet points about the story to refresh your memory, and then use that as your launching pad for your gratitude practice. If you didn't already think of it, the gospel is an incredible story that accomplishes this. Any story about Jesus healing people or setting people free or helping people, or the crucifixion story, the resurrection story, the Exodus story, all the different things in the Bible, this works for you and for your children. This is a great story that you could use for your gratitude practice to build a narrative around the things that we need to be thankful for. Gratitude that lives in your head or on a list but doesn't make its way to a story that your mind can understand is wasted potential. So find a story, tell it to your kids, tell it to yourself often, and learn how to be grateful through that narrative. Last, gratitude needs to be received. And this was perhaps the most convicting thing that I heard on the podcast. Your brain has a stronger response to receiving gratitude than it does giving gratitude. And if the goal is to strengthen the parts of your mind and spirit that are thankful and grateful, being on the receiving end of gratitude is the best way to work that muscle. I went into this challenge thinking, how can I get my kids to be more grateful? Grateful to God, grateful to each other, certainly grateful to their wonderful and perfectly beautiful parents. But it turns out, just like every other aspect of parenting, the parents carry the heaviest load. The responsibility to develop gratitude in your child is your responsibility. It is up to you being a grateful person and making it clear to your children that you appreciate them and love them. Why is this so much harder said than done? Your children should catch you expressing gratitude to other people. The life that you are living in front of your child is a narrative that they are watching and interpreting and learning from every single day. Needless to say, we tried to change a few things with this challenge. Day 3, we read about a Bible story. We tried to link it back to Jesus and the things that we were talking about to be grateful for. It kind of worked. Day 4, we just forgot the whole thing altogether because our kids, they did nothing but whine the whole time, and I spent 5 minutes trying to demonstrate to my 4-year-old that his gravedigger monster truck cannot in fact create anything out of thin air. Days 5 and 6 were pretty standard, but on day 7, something changed. My son Clay, without us fishing for an answer, said that he was grateful for the cook at his daycare named Jack, who served in the military. And Clay was thankful that he fought the bad guys. And I had to explain to Clay that Jack didn't actually go around punching the bad guys in the face like Clay's drawing depicted. But it made me realize that there's an important order when it comes to our gratefulness. First, be grateful for God. Second, grateful for people. And third, grateful for things. Things are great, but they only come from our relationships with other people. And everything that we have and see and know originates with God. Days 8 and 9, they all followed a similar pattern. They thought of something to be grateful for, we prayed, and we moved on. There was no celebration, there was no debrief about our experience. We just kind of moved on. So I guess I'm asking myself the question, was this a success? Not necessarily, at least if the goal is to brainwash my children to be grateful in the 10 days before Thanksgiving. This was honestly a way harder challenge than I anticipated. I thought that it would be fun, making a craft with my kids. I thought it would be fun laughing together each night and, praying in a cute little circle as we held hands and thanked God for 10 profound reasons why we're grateful. But instead, we prayed for lizards. We prayed for rocks. We prayed for God, that's a good one. We prayed for silly string on Shabbat, monster truck gravedigger, chicken wings, my bed. It wasn't all a total failure. There were some things that my kids were grateful for that I'm hoping that they're grateful for the rest of their life. But the thing that I think we learned is that gratitude is a muscle, and we have taught our kids maybe just a couple more ways how to flex this muscle. My prayer is that this challenge is just one rep in the much larger set of character development. One more attempt at living an honest and meaningful life of faith with our family, having Jesus at the center of everything in our entire life. And if nothing else, I hope that you've learned some valuable ways to teach gratitude and thankfulness to your children. But if you want to learn about the prayer practices that I use literally every single day, that I would recommend every single parent in the world does, check out this video here where I talk about the 3 prayer hacks that every parent should know.